I once thought I was just another employee, another cog in the machine. People passed me by, overlooked me, and ignored my potential. But what if I told you that the very people who doubted me, the ones who betrayed me, were the ones who unknowingly helped me build an empire? This is the story of how I turned betrayal into power, how I built something they could never imagine, while they were busy thinking I was just another employee. And trust me, this is a lesson you'll never forget. My name is James. I'm 29, living in Austin, Texas. I work in a tech startup, a place filled with ambition and noise, but not for me. I'm just another guy in a sea of faces, another mid-level manager trying to climb a ladder that feels impossibly high. My mornings were the same. I woke up at 6:30 a.m. to the sound of the city's honking cars and the hum of construction outside my apartment. The scent of strong coffee filled the room as I slung on a shirt that was a little too tight, made my way to the office, and braced myself for another day of routine. The office felt like a second home where I was completely invisible. Cubicle walls, fluorescent lights, and the click-clack of keyboards. My coworkers barely looked up when I passed by. I could feel their judgment, but I never said anything, because I knew, to make it, I had to prove myself. The only problem? The very people I thought I could trust had a plan to stab me in the back, and they did. I had always believed in loyalty. If you worked hard, kept your head down, and supported others, you'd eventually get noticed. That's how it worked, right? Brad Williams was my friend, or at least, I thought he was. We'd been working together for over 2 years. Brad was charming, always the life of the office. People loved him. He made jokes, had that smile that made everyone think he was the hardest worker in the room. I, on the other hand, did most of the legwork, long nights, sleepless weekends, sacrificing my time to make sure everything ran smoothly. It wasn't about recognition, not really. It was about loyalty, and I thought Brad shared that value. But slowly, things started to change. He'd take credit for my ideas in meetings, nodding like he was the one who came up with all the answers. The first time it happened, I brushed it off. After all, he was my friend, but then it started happening more and more, and the worst part? No one noticed, no one cared. But I kept quiet, kept working harder, putting in the extra hours, sacrificing even more of my personal life. Brad saw me as a tool to get ahead, and I let it happen. It wasn't until the project that would change everything came along, a huge presentation to the executives. I worked days and nights on it, putting every ounce of my energy into it, but when it was time for Brad and I to present together, he did something I couldn't have expected. The day of the presentation, I stood beside Brad in front of the entire board of directors. My heart was pounding in my chest. This was my moment. I knew I was the one who had done all the work, the one who had pieced everything together, but when it was time to speak, Brad took the lead. He smiled at the executives, his smooth voice filling the room. "I'm so proud of this team, especially with the work James has done." He looked right at me, the corner of his mouth twitching as if it was all some sick joke. "But this project is a testament to my leadership." I froze. The words didn't register at first. It was like time stood still. The betrayal hit me like a slap in the face, but I couldn't react. I stood there, motionless, 1,000 emotions flooding through me: anger, confusion, heartbreak. I felt my hands tremble. I wanted to scream, wanted to confront him, but I didn't. I held it in, not because I didn't want to confront him, but because I knew what would happen next. I had to play this smart. I simply said nothing. I nodded, the weight of the injustice crushing me. That night, I went home and did something I should have done months ago. I started planning my exit. But it wasn't just an exit, it was a new beginning. I began building something on my own, a side project, an idea that had been brewing in my mind for months but was always dismissed by Brad and the rest of the team. I worked alone, quietly, while Brad took the credit and got accolades. No one knew what I was up to. They thought I was just another employee, nothing more than the guy who helped make Brad look good. But I knew better. I spent nights locked in my apartment, typing away on my laptop. The smell of coffee and the sound of distant traffic kept me awake as I built a business that would eventually destroy everything Brad had built. As the weeks went by, Brad started to notice something. I wasn't the quiet, invisible guy anymore. People were starting to talk about my work. Investors were starting to take notice. My side project had taken off, and soon, I was getting offers from top companies. Brad sent me a text one night. "You need to stop, James. This isn't your fight. Stay in your lane." But I didn't respond. I wasn't scared. I wasn't angry anymore. I had something Brad didn't: dignity, and I was ready to make my move. Then, the moment of truth came. My startup went public, and I landed a massive deal with a company that had the power to change everything. The same day, Brad's project fell apart. The truth came out. My contributions, everything I had done, was laid bare. Brad had stolen all my ideas and presented them as his own, but now the world knew. In front of a packed conference, I was called to the stage. My investors, my supporters, and my team were there. Brad, on the other hand, was nowhere to be found. I stood there, the spotlight on me, as the crowd erupted in applause. I had built something real. Brad? He was publicly humiliated. Investors pulled out. Executives left him behind. His reputation was shattered. I had won, yes, but it wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming my life, my worth. Brad was gone. His empire crumbled. And as I stood there, with the weight of my success on my shoulders, I knew one thing for sure. Success isn't just about money. It's about the fight, the resilience, the refusal to let anyone define you. I looked out over the city of Austin, where it all started, the same city that used to feel so small and insignificant. Now, it was mine. I'm no longer the invisible employee. I've built an empire, but it didn't come easy. If you've ever been underestimated, pushed down, or betrayed, I want you to remember this. You are more than what they say you are. You have power, and it's time to take it. Leave a comment if you've ever had to fight to prove your worth. Share your story. I'd love to hear it. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories of real success. Remember, you're never just another employee. You're the future.